So I'm really excited to do this video. I always enjoy doing my ranked videos, but this is a director that I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. Before I start this video, if you guys want to donate to our Indiegogo for Pesadilla, it would mean the world to us, or if you could just share it to somebody, it would really help us out a lot. We're also going to be running another crowdfunder afterwards, so I'll have more information on that. But let's go ahead and get into what you guys want me to get into, ranking Lars von Trier's filmography. Now, I actually don't see many Lars von Trier ranked videos on YouTube, which is kind of a shame because, you know, I kind of like listening to him. I think I've seen one or two, and he's got a vast filmography. I think what a lot of people don't really understand is the man made like 10 or 11 films before he even made, Antichrist and Melancholia. Yeah, it's just... I find that very bizarre because the way his filmmaking style before and then now, I feel like he's just gotten better. You know, there's some directors where, some of their earlier films will be their best films or their middle films. Sometimes their later films aren't the best. Well, Lars von Trier, I just feel like he's just gotten better, you know. And I would probably have to say he's my favorite working director today. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, he's probably my favorite working director. I think he's badass. Love Lars von Trier. I hope he makes another film. I hope the House That Jack Built wasn't his last film, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. Now, instead of showing you guys, I actually own all of his films on physical media, except for one, and that's Medea. I actually watched that one on YouTube. Yeah, I think there's maybe one or two films that's going to be excluded from this list, like the Kingdom television series, and there's another one that I forget. But these are the 14 main Lars von Trier films. Yeah, I'm just really excited to do this video. I love Lars von Trier, and I have my list right here. So coming in at number 14, we're getting this started. At number 14 is Medea. I don't really have much to say about Medea, honestly. I think that's how you say it, Medea. It was shot well. That's about it. You know, it doesn't really feel like a Lars von Trier film. I think it was actually a made-for-TV film, but the cinematography is pretty, and I mean the performances are good. But I mean for the story, I just wasn't really that invested. There's a lot of filler, even for I think it's an hour and 16 minutes. It's pretty short. But I don't know, I couldn't connect with it. Coming in at number 13 is The Boss of It All. Now, this is a Lars von Trier comedy. I would argue a lot of his films have comedic elements in them. I think the funniest part of this film is at the beginning when Lars von Trier is coming in on a crane and you can just see his reflection. I thought it was genius. But I found the film to be boring, not really funny. Like I said, Lars von Trier is my favorite working director to date if he makes another film. But there's a lot of films, well not a lot, but there's some films I really just don't like, you know, and I was just kind of fucking bored with The Boss of It All. I'm not gonna lie. I was really excited to watch it because it sort of reminded me of The Office just a little bit, and I like The Office, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't for me. None of the jokes really landed. Maybe it's just an American thing. Maybe, you know, it was funnier in Sweden. Who knows? Coming in at number 12 is Epidemic. Now, Epidemic, I watched it for the first time, like a week or two ago. And while it has some interesting elements, especially with the title always being on the screen, I found that really bizarre, kind of funny. This is not alcohol. I'm just drinking Dr. Pepper out of a red Solo cup. I just had a hard time getting invested in the story. I don't know. It's one of those films where, and Lars von Trier actually takes on the lead role, which is cool. But I don't know. I just didn't care much about the narrative. It was pretty slow, and it was one of his earlier films. I think he made the film for $100,000. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. Coming in at number 11. Now, these are films that I'm starting to enjoy. You know, like I would consider the films that I just talked about to be, you know, I don't really like them or I'm mixed about them, but these I'm iffy with, I'm okay with, and it's just going to keep getting better. But coming in at number 11 is The Idiots. I'll be honest, I think this film is somewhat offensive, but I don't really care too much. I'll watch something, you know, it's a movie. But I can understand the issues that people have with The Idiots. There are some scenes in the film that are just, I don't even know. Lars von Trier is so interesting. But this is, I feel like The Idiots is where Lars von Trier really did start to get his style. He likes to use handheld a lot, and he loves to do jump cuts. And I actually have no issue with that. I actually am a big fan of that type of filmmaking. I feel like there's a spot for it. I've heard criticisms for handheld, shots and filming a movie handheld. I don't really see the issue with it as long as it's just not kind of overbearing. It feels very natural, for Lars von Trier's purposes of it or whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed The Idiots. It was, there were some parts that I didn't really like. It was slow at times, and I did kind of have an issue with the subject matter. But I do feel like The Idiots is where we sort of get to see Lars von Trier sort of get his signature and his style. And it's also a part of the Dog Me movement, which was founded by Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg. So I haven't had a chance to see the celebration yet, but I'm very excited to watch that. Coming in at number 10 is Europa. I think the very beginning of the film is so iconic with, I think Max von Sydow was doing the narration, and I enjoyed the first half of the film. It's the last half that just kind of didn't grip me. I admit I probably do need to give it a rewatch, but I really enjoyed the black and white and the color. The cinematography was really nice. It was kind of forgettable. And the first time that I watched it, like I said, I enjoyed the first half, but it just got really slow. One of my favorite scenes, though, which I won't spoil anything, it involves an individual in the bathtub. And I don't know why, but there was just something kind of haunting about that scene. But yeah, and it's an older Lars von Trier film. And like I said, I feel like in a way it kind of reminds me of Paul Thomas Anderson, where his first 4 films were very similar in terms of, which I mean, obviously, you can tell it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, but he really did change a lot for Inherent Vice, The Master, and Phantom Thread, especially changing his typical aspect ratio, sort of more artsy approach. I feel like that's how Lars von Trier was. Like, you look at a lot of his older films, they're very just standard signature films, still camera most of the time, just static movement. It wasn't too crazy, compared to his other films. And this is, I feel like Europa, even though it's really different from the films that he's made now, it just has Lars von Trier written all over it, just because of the subject matter, the way the story's presented. Not a bad film. Like I said, I probably need a rewatch. And if I do give it a rewatch, maybe I'll make a video about it and see if it moved up or down on the list. I can only see it moving up, but for right now, this is where it's at. Coming in at number 9 is Mandalay. It's a sequel to Dogville. Look, if you've seen Dogville, I don't really want to say go out of your way to watch Mandalay. I don't feel like Mandalay is an essential watch, even if you've seen Dogville, especially where they recasted everybody. And I don't know if many people have even seen Mandalay, honestly. But I really like the style of Mandalay and Dogville, where there's not really any sets. It's just, written on the ground on a soundstage, and they're walking around. I really wish there was more Willem Dafoe in this film, but it was not. I personally didn't think it was better than Dogville, but it was still enjoyable to an extent. I didn't hate the film. I didn't love it, but I could probably watch it again. It's a good companion piece to Dogville. It's still technically considered a sequel. Fuck. Coming in at number 8 is Lars von Trier's debut film, Element of Crime. Now, I love the atmosphere of this film. There was something, the atmosphere was so brooding, and it was so dirty and grimy, and it felt real. The film is pretty slow for an hour and like 40 minutes, but I don't know. I remember the first time seeing it, and I was blown away. I watched the original Criterion DVD, and thankfully it got an upgrade on Blu-ray with the new not the new Europe trilogy, but the new Europe trilogy from Criterion Collection. I did an unboxing for that, and check it out. And I remember reading somewhere that Andrei Tarkovsky watched the film and told Lars von Trier that it was shit. Never meet your heroes, kids. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it was, that's interesting, because I don't think the film is shit. I actually think it's really good. It's a pretty solid debut. Coming in at number 7 is Dancer in the Dark. Now, I'm assuming this would be higher up on a lot of other people's lists. For me, I enjoyed the film. I liked it. I would love to see, it get a 4K upgrade or what have you, because I don't know, I watched it on DVD, and I mean the quality wasn't horrible, but I feel like it could look a lot better. And there's a lot of rumors with this film, which I can't even fucking talk. Bjork. I really hope I pronounced that right. But apparently she had some major issues with Lars von Trier on the set. And apparently she would like spit on him every day. The film ended up winning, I think, the Palme d'Or. And it is one of those films where it does not have a happy ending at all. And it is very depressing. It is a depressing film. But I liked it. And like I said, I do like this later style of I like the later style. I don't know what word I'm going to use after that. I like the style of Lars von Trier's later films. There we go. I like it. I don't know. I like the handheld movements. I'm not going to go about this all day. I don't really need to. It'd be completely pointless. But I do like it. And Dancer in the Dark is worth it. I feel like people will like it, you know, more than me if you don't get too hyped for it. Because I was really hyped watching the film. Like, I just heard so many good things about it and how it was like Lars von Trier's best film. I don't think it's his best film, but I think it's pretty good. Number 6 is Antichrist. Now, I actually gave this a rewatch not long ago. I actually watched it before my son's birthday party. And I wanted to give it another watch because I felt like it could move up on my list. It actually didn't move at all, but I still really enjoy Antichrist. I think Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg did a fantastic job. Apparently, Lars von Trier was really depressed making this film. This is the first part of his Depression trilogy, and this film is not for the faint of heart. Like, there are some scenes in it that are rough, like very, very, very rough. But the film itself, it's very dark and moody, and there's some great performances from Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. I feel like they really do just sort of, you know, they feed off each other, and they just, the film is almost like a thermometer, like in the summer. It just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. You know, it just keeps escalating. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But I really enjoy it. We're getting into Lars von Trier's masterpieces. Antichrist, very solid film. Pretty interesting facts and behind the scenes for the film if you guys want to check that out. But I really enjoy Antichrist. Coming in at number 5 is Dogville. Dogville is very unique, and it's a fun movie to watch. I was actually entertained throughout most of the 3-hour runtime. The film is 2 hours and 58 minutes, so it is a very big film. It's an epic film, and it's actually very impressive. Look, I'm not trying to get passionate about what I'm talking about, but like I have to, because Lars von Trier literally made a film 3 hours long in one location with no set, no props. There's literally a fucking dog that's drawn in chalk that's drawn in chalk, and it just barks and it doesn't do anything. You're literally watching these people talk on a soundstage for 3 hours. And it's beautiful. It's mesmerizing. Nicole Kidman gives one of her best performances. Stellan Skarsgård is great as always. It's like him and Lars von Trier are like this. I would highly recommend watching Dogville. And I would love to see Lars von Trier make the Washington film to finish off the trilogy, even as his last film. I think that would be very interesting. I think it would be cool if he went all out with it. Have multiple sound stages. Take us to different locations. I saw that house that Jack built could technically be the last part of his America trilogy, and I guess it could be, but I don't know. I would really like to see like another one of these films, because while Mandalay wasn't better than Dogville, I still really enjoyed Mandalay. I mean, for what it was, it was enjoyable, but Dogville, oh my gosh, like it's a fantastic film. It's a masterpiece. Definitely check it out, seriously. Coming in at number 4 is The House That Jack Built. Matt Dillon does a great job as, you know, serial killer Mr. Sophistication, and it's a very good character study. It's a very good character study. The film definitely has some dark moments. There's some moments that people are probably not going to like, especially it's split up into different accounts, different killings that he did. He takes well, he kills more people in, some of the situations. But he's basically talking to somebody, I guess, on his way to hell. And you get to sort of see what he did in the past. It's very interesting. And I love films that are set up like that. But Matt Dillon gives a chilling performance as Jack. And it's not for the faint of heart. I feel it's not really an angry film, but it definitely is Lars von Trier giving the middle finger, basically. Because at Cannes Film Festival during Melancholia, he said some pretty interesting things. Now, some people could argue that Lars von Trier is somewhat of a narcissist. He's very full of himself. This is his most self-indulgent film. I've said this before. I love it when a director is self-indulgent in his films. He doesn't have to be self-indulgent in all of his films, but I love to see just a really self-indulgent film from a director. I mean, it's just kind of like art, you look at it, basically, if you like their other films, why not get to know them? Why not, there's nothing wrong with putting a lot of your beliefs in one of your films. I mean, it's just like if I hang out with one of my friends, the more I talk to them, the more I'm going to want to get to know them. And I feel like that's how The House That Jack Built is, because there's some interesting narrations, and there's a very interesting segment where Jack talks about art, and Lars von Trier shows his own films. And that it's very, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, The House That Jack Built, his most recent film. I hope it's not his final film, but if it is, he definitely went out with a bang. Coming in at number 3 is Melancholia. Now, this is probably the most, I would say, the most approachable film of Lars von Trier's filmography. Like, I would recommend this to probably everybody. I think everybody could probably watch it. But this film centers around a wedding, and just so happens that a planet called Melancholia is on a collision course with Earth. It's got Charlotte Gainsborough, Kristen Dunst, Alexander Skarsgård, John Hurt, and Stellan Skarsgård, and Kiefer Sutherland. Very, very great cast. And yeah, it's depressing, but at the same time, it's almost like a comfort movie. And this was the second movie in Lars von Trier's Depression trilogy. I had heard that this film actually was runner-up to win Palme d'Or until Lars von Trier made the statements that he made. I'm not sure if that's true or not. That's just what I heard. But yeah, that would have been interesting because, man, Lars von Trier could have like 2 Palme d'Ors under his belt. Which, there are some directors that just scream Cannes, like Lars von Trier, Gaspar Noé, there's just some directors that are just meant for Cannes. And it sucks that Lars von Trier got persona non grata at Cannes because of what he said. I mean, he said some pretty raunchy shit, but yeah, Melancholia, great film. And I didn't say this, but Lars von Trier is oddly a comfort director for me. Like, I find all of his films to be somewhat comforting. I know that might sound a little bit weird, but I just find his films comforting. I kind of can't help it. Coming in at number 2, Breaking the Waves. Breaking the Waves is beautiful, it's poetic, it's atmospheric, and it's just, I was amazed when I first watched it. I really, really think very highly of this film. I really do. And the film stars Emily Watson and Stellan Skarsgård. And basically, Stellan Skarsgård, they get married and he gets hurt at the job. And basically, Emily Watson, she cannot live without him. She's very obsessed with him. He is quite literally her rock. But it goes very deep. And there's some things I don't want to spoil because I would highly, highly recommend watching it. It has a beautiful Criterion release. It sucks because I'm a really big fan of Mark Kermode. Like, I love watching his reviews and just sort of his picks of the week. And it sucks that he does not enjoy this film. Like, I understand that he doesn't like The Idiots, okay? But come on, Breaking the Waves, I really enjoy it. But I do understand where he's coming from, Mark Kermode, where he says that Lars von Trier is basically like a trickster. You can't really take anything that he says serious. Because the ending of the film, which I won't spoil anything, it's very ambiguous, and it's meant to be. And I still don't know exactly how I feel about it, and I don't know how to take it. But that's fine, because I feel like Lars von Trier is a great filmmaker. So, I don't really care. I'll interpret it the way that I want to interpret it. Really hoping to give this a rewatch soon, because Breaking the Waves, fantastic film. And coming in at number 1, I'm actually going to throw both of these into one film. They're 2 different volumes. You know what I'm talking about now. Nymphomaniac. This film is epic. It's smart. It's masterful. And I think it's one of the best films ever made. There's an interesting thing that Lars von Trier does, and I find it to be very bold. But and it's with this film in particular because the film just burped while I was talking. I don't like to do that. The film has Shia LaBeouf, Charlotte Gainsborough, and Charlotte Gainsborough plays an older version of this girl, and there you get to see the younger version, which is played by Stacey Martin. But he does this thing where it can be very jarring to see, you know, just that big of a transformation with you know, the characters starting off younger and then getting older, because they do it also with Shia LaBeouf's character later on. But I feel like it could almost represent time passing and you just don't recognize who somebody used to be. You know, because people change throughout life. That's sort of how I interpret it, because it helps me sort of make sense of it, because like I said, it is very jarring. But the film also has Stellan Skarsgård, Mia Goth, Willem Dafoe, and it's just this very epic story of this woman named Jo who is a nymphomaniac. This is not one of those films to show your kids or your grandma. Well, I guess you could show your grandma. You should show your grandma this film. Trust me, don't even look it up, just show her the film. It's a spicy film, and they actually had real special actors, I don't want this video to get removed, to fill in for some of these parts, and they also used CGI. But it was not in bad taste. I did not feel like this film was in bad taste whatsoever. I was really impressed with it. It's, like I said, it's very smart. The film is very smart. The film has Jo, Charlotte Gainsborough, and Stellan Skarsgård. They're inside this room, and they're just talking because Stellan Skarsgård's character finds her laying in an alleyway, and she's been beaten. So he brings her to his house to take care of her, and she basically tells him her life story. It works, and it's very nice to see these characters, you know, they sort of feed off each other in a way where, you know, he finds out more about her, but as he's finding out more about her, he kind of finds out more about himself. And that sort of harkens, you sort of get to see that towards the ending, because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, you get to find out more about these characters, of course, as the film progresses. Of course, you know, that's how stories work. But I loved every second of it, and I watched the unrated director's cut. I have not seen the theatrical version. Watched the unrated director's cut. I could not imagine anything being taken from the film. If you watch them together, it's like a 5-hour-long film. It's an epic movie, but it's good. It's really good. You could split them up into volumes, though. You know, there's no reason to really watch it back to back. I mean, you could if you wanted to. Like, if you're a real G, I mean, you could do it. But I watched it, you know, I just split it down the middle and watched it, and yeah, it's my favorite Lars von Trier film, and I feel like it's his best work. I really hope that I can watch The Kingdom one day. I would love to see Mubi or somebody release, you know, the whole set, all 3 seasons or what have you, because I would get it and I would watch it, and I would probably update, you know, my ranking. Because, you know, David Lynch with Twin Peaks, you know, I consider just the whole of Twin Peaks to be David Lynch. Even though I know more people worked on it, it's still, like, if I did a ranking, which I am going to do a ranking for David Lynch, I would just kind of throw Twin Peaks in there. Like Fire Walk with Me, I would just throw Twin Peaks in with Fire Walk with Me and, you know, just kind of call it a day. But yeah, that's my ranking video for Lars von Trier. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite Lars von Trier films are down in the comments below, or your personal ranking. I had a lot of fun doing this. I love Lars von Trier, and I've been waiting to talk about more of his stuff on this channel for a very, very, very long time. What do you guys want to see next in terms of a ranking? I actually have some a list of ranked film. I got my list here. So I have Stanley Kubrick, Terry Gilliam, Ingmar Bergman is going to take a second. I'm working on that. Federico Fellini, David Lynch. What do you guys want to see? What would you guys like to see? I'm also thinking about doing my favorite Japanese animated. So it doesn't even have to be a ranking video. I can do, you know, a top 10 of maybe my top 10 favorite horror films or something like that. You know, I'm down to do whatever. But let me know if you guys would like, what ranking you guys would like to see next. I'm sort of leaning more on a Kubrick ranking just because I've seen his films like a lot. You know, he's my favorite director, so I feel like I could give a pretty good ranking for his films. But just let me know in the comments below. And also, if you guys don't care, check out our Indiegogo for Pesadilla. It would mean the world to us. We really, really, really want to make this film happen. I'm hoping to shoot this summer. But yeah, definitely check it out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Hope you're staying safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time.